Namaste, beloved community. I am so glad that you are here. It is a wintry day in Boise, Idaho. I hope it's nice wherever you are. How are you doing with the solar flares? There's a lot of solar flare energies happening right now. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I talked about it last week on my show, and you can always Google what's going on with these huge solar flares of energy. We have more solar flare energy happening right now than and over the last couple of weeks than we've had in a very long time, if ever. And so um, if you've been feeling fatigue, if you've been having headaches, if you've been having all sorts of stuff happening, body aches that aren't explained, it has a lot to do with the solar flares happening because we're energy, right? And we're electrical beings, we're energetic beings, and we are impacted by the sun. And so when the sun has these solar flares, it definitely impacts our bodies and a lot of things happening in our world. Not to mention that we are in the sign of Aries, which is all about fire, which only puts more tension in the world. And we are seeing that, right? With the conflict happening in Russia and Ukraine. And let's just bring our hands to our heart and send love out to all the people in Ukraine and Russia right now. In fact, let's take 3 Ave Sal breaths, sending love and light to everyone in Russia and Ukraine and anyone around the world that is impacted by this conflict and by this war. Bring your hand to your heart. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose, thinking Ave, letting it out with a big just holding that space of love for everyone around the world. Let's do that again. Inhaling Ave, exhaling. Let's do that one more time. Inhaling Ave, exhaling. So besides the solar flares, how are you feeling? Because we had this major, and I mean major, conjunction yesterday between the planets Jupiter and Neptune. So Jupiter is the planet of fortune, of favor, of good luck. It expands everything it touches. Neptune is about psychic abilities. It's about our spirituality, our dream state, our intuition. And they came together yesterday in the sign of Pisces, which is about dreams, about spirituality. It's that water, the water sign. And why is this a big deal? Well, these two planets come together about every 12 to 13 years. The last time was in 2009. So think about what was happening in the world in 2009, right? We were just coming out of a recession. We had some major things happening in the world. In fact, if I remember right, Obama was president, and some of the LGBTQ legislation was going through, the rights, individual rights. That was in the sign of Aquarius, which makes sense because that's more about community. Pisces is more individual and spiritual. It's about your own personal. So it's not been in Pisces for 166 years. That's why this is rare. It won't happen again in our lifetime. And this is right before we have a full moon this weekend in the sign of Libra, which is all about balance. It's the scales. It's the air sign, so it's about communication. I find that really interesting, especially given what's happening in the world. We are being given an opportunity with the planet of luck and expansion and the planet of dreams and intuition and spirituality to really change. And we are being asked to change. We have been for a while. And I know that this has been talked about. It's time for the old, outdated ways of life and government and financial systems and rules and beliefs and so on to go away, right? So, what are you doing in your life to change? Know that right now you are being supported to have sudden epiphanies, to get information through your intuition and your psyche and your dream state. So make sure that you're writing that stuff down. And that brings me up to my incredible, fabulous guest that I have the honor of being able to call my friend and know and have had the opportunity to spend time with at TOSA, as well as talk to on a regular basis and get to know Mr. Jim Ohneck, who is the CEO and inventor of Epoch lasers, and he does so much more. I'm going to bring him on and let him share even more, but this all started with a dream with him. Welcome, Jim.
Hello there. It's fantastic to be back. Yay.
Yay. So excited to have you on again.
Yes, same here.
So yeah, let's start there. Let's start with the dream that you had years ago.
Well, there's been many, but really the dream was to how can light be used in order to really help heal people. Light has lots of qualities. It's talked about in every religion, and so how can that light be harnessed together and then be used for the purposes of healing? And so that's where it all started. And then to kind of go forward from there, it's then how to implement that, how to turn it into a real life product. How can I take that dream and an imagination of healing light and bring that all together and make something that would help people? And this has been a 20-year journey, so a very long journey for me.
And it's so amazing. I mean, people are getting relief. People are having miracles happen. They're able to stand. They're able to walk. It's incredible what the light has been able to do. And I know that you've worked on it for 20 years. I know you've refined it. And I know that you have faced adversity. I know that you have what in you kept you going?
I don't know. I have a screw loose, maybe.
No.
So I think it's the idea of service and how can I use my skills for helping mankind. So one of the mantras I had very early on, I've always been involved in development of medical devices and in medicine and emergency medicine. And so one of the mantras I always had early on is, asking the Lord to please give me the intuition and the skills to develop products that can help heal people. That's something I asked even before I ever thought or dreamt about the laser, the healing light. Mm-hmm. And so, this has been the manifestation of that, I think, mantra over time. And
I love that.
Yeah, that's really is asking to how to best use my skills that I can help heal people and help people in need. And so this is what the skill set I was given and to be able to put to use.
And that's a great example of, we can manifest anything if we ask and decide and put it out there, right? And you just proved that. You just showed that. And right now is a perfect time, especially with these planets conjuncting Jupiter and Neptune. It's a perfect time to manifest a new life, manifest dreams, manifest the life that you want. It's a perfect time, but you have to ask, you have to put it down, you have to write it out, you have to create that dream board. Um, you have to voice it. You have to, you said it. You said, show me how I can, what can I do to help with this, with my gifts, with my knowledge, with my, in a technology, medical type capacity. And you were you were guided.
And those ideas always keep flowing. So I wanted to talk to you about a couple of things here that occurred. So the smaller laser that we call the infrahelios, right? The sun god, the infrahelios. I don't know if I ever told you the story about how that came about, but it was a choir director. So I sing in a choir, and the organist had pretty advanced arthritis in her hands to the point where it's uncomfortable for her to play the organ. It's a big pipe organ in the church. And so I had treated her with the big laser at the time, which is really big. It's quite a big box. And, her idea was, hey, I would love to use this, but it makes no sense for you to schlep this big box into and treat my hands every day. And so that was the idea, conceived in a church, just treating somebody's hands, of the infrahelios, saying I should make something that it's good for the hands. Mm-hmm. And so it was from the idea from the choir director that led to this design and to this thought process of what can be used to treat arthritis of the hands. This is a big problem, and this is how the infrahelios started out with a device to treat arthritis in the hands. And then, as you know, everybody started putting it all over the place. It's like, I'm going to put my foot on it to help with my neuropathy. I'm going to put it behind my back and behind my neck and on my shoulder. And pretty soon they're coming up with all sorts of creative things they could do with this infrahelios, which was way beyond it. Kind of an analogy is you release this thinking it's for one thing, and it grows way beyond expectations.
Yes.
And sometimes you say, I want my idea back, just a little simple idea, but it's grown beyond things. And so, there's a lot of people that use it for their hands, including myself, because I play the guitar, and as I'm an old man now, it hurts my hands, so I like to use the infrahelios on my hands. But the other place where I saw it coming used, and I want to tell you this story as well, is I was contacted by a lady that was using it, and she had cancer radiation treatments, and her whole one side was becoming weak. And she said, will the laser help? Will the infrahelios help on my weak side? And sometimes you kind of put the pieces of the puzzle together. And I said, well, yes, but you should do it with other things. Maybe you can take Pilates. And then we talked more about where the weakness was. And then I asked her this really simple question about, does she have a grandchild? And has she ever watched a baby crawl? And when babies develop, they crawl in a certain way, and they're building their neuromuscular pathways. So I said, as silly as this sound, is use the infrahelios and crawl around the floor like a baby would crawl, alternate crawling, knees and arms. And we talked about that. And so the point of that story is to show that these devices can be used adjunctively with other things. Absolutely. That they can help put somebody in a position where they can say, okay, I'm going to use the infrahelios, and I'm going to do this crawling around the floor. So their spirit gets lifted. They use the light starts to enter their body. They feel more energy. They say, yeah, now I actually feel like I can crawl around the floor, and it's not silly. So I can do these two things. I can tie these two things together. Mm-hmm. So it's important that everybody know, there's always sometimes it's underlying conditions that you can't solve all at once. And
Right.
so the light can help heal to an extent, but it doesn't
Mhm.
necessarily mean it solves all the problems all the time. If there's
Right.
an underlying condition, things can keep coming back. But I
Right.
want to talk to the audience a little bit about how does the light heal,
Yes.
and why does it do what it does? And
Yes.
so in our bodies, we have these mitochondria. It's very well known. And then the light actually stimulates the mitochondria. So when you breathe oxygen or you eat food, that also stimulates the mitochondria, and it produces a compound called ATP. It is a triphosphate. It's a compound, and that helps the body's own healing mechanism. So you add the light at a specific wavelength, the 980 wavelength. This stimulates the mitochondria, produces more ATP, and helps the body heal itself. This is a different approach. So you can put the devices, the laser, the infrahelios, localized, and start healing right away, as opposed to taking something that you have to ingest a small percentage of, go through your system. Other things, fall out. It can actually poison and cause side effects. So it's really taking this light, stimulating of the mitochondria. And what I found is people with arthritis, I go back to the basics. The woman with the arthritic hand, the choir director, and the improvement. I now have a patient that uses it on her knees.
Mhm.
And she had gone, she was thinking she was going to need more knee surgery. The hospital gave her a brace, to put on the knee. They wanted to give her a cortisone shot. And she said, no. So you have a choice. She said no to all this. And she said, I'm going to start using the infrahelios on my knees every day. I'm going to have my cup of coffee and I'm going to put the infrahelios on my knees. And her diagnosis was, you have arthritis in your knees. And it has helped. The daily use of it, like brushing your teeth,
Mhm.
the daily use of the device has actually helped her knees. And she has less discomfort than she's had in a long time, without a big mechanical brace, without surgery, without a shot of some sort that's only temporary. And
Yes.
so this is because of the way it works, stimulating the body's own healing mechanism, waking up the body's own healing mechanism.
Right.
This is the important thing about it. So these ideas of the lady who was getting the neuromuscular training and helping with a weakness in her side, people with the arthritic hands, these help and can actually help the condition, because it's actually helping to heal, and it's activating the body's own healing.
Yes. Yes. I love it. I back in September, I had a mountain bike accident,
Oh,
and I used the light a little bit. It was kind of off and on. My knee didn't hurt every day, if I overdid it, lifting or running or whatever, then it might hurt, and I might use ice, and then I'd use the laser or whatever. Um, but I didn't use it every day. Well, finally, I guess it was November. I was talking to a doctor, and he did an ultrasound and saw that I actually had torn my meniscus, which I didn't know. And I did not, I don't want, didn't want surgery. So he injected PRP, drew my own blood, spun it down.
mhm.
So they pulled my own stem cells, injected that into my knee. And then I've been much more diligent about using the infrahelios on my knee. And so I have very, only if I really overdo it do I have discomfort, but I know it's healing and I'm not going to have surgery, which is huge.
That's huge. Absolutely, that's huge. And they're both ways that the body is healing, using its own mechanisms to heal.
Right, exactly. And I know that the laser is supportive of, I don't the PRP, it can take up to 8 months before it is effective. And so I know, it's only been since November. I know that the speed of the reduction of pain and discomfort in my knee has a lot to do with the infrahelios.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's good. And again, it's something you can use as needed. You can
Mhm.
use it on a daily basis, and
Right.
um, can you overuse it is a question I get sometimes. And it doesn't really cause damage if you overuse it, but it may not become as effective over time if you
Mhm.
use it too much. So we always try to tell people try to use it once, at most twice a day.
Mhm.
Try to integrate it. A lot of people that have arthritis, they have it in their hands, they have it in their knees, in their ankles, and so try to use it like brushing your teeth on a daily basis, and touch all these different areas at some point. But don't use it 4 hours at a time at once. It's
Yeah.
not necessary because you have to give the body time to catch up.
Right.
You know,
Right.
you
It takes the body time to heal. The body can heal. This is my belief. The body can heal from anything if we give it the right environment.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah,
And that the light, absolutely. It's also a belief that your body can heal. It's also what you're putting into your body, being hydrated, making sure that you're drinking plenty of water, making sure, we've talked about that before. It, also making sure that you're not putting more poisons in your body by eating a diet full of preservatives and sugars and chemicals and dyes and things that are going to make your body make it harder to function. That's going to slow down your healing. um, but I believe that our bodies can heal from anything if we give it the right environment. And the light only helps support the body in healing and speeds it up, And so, absolutely, it's an amazing technology, and I'm so grateful that you had that dream, that you had that desire, that you put that out there and manifested this, and then have spent all this time refining it and bringing it forward so that I mean, the infrahelios is such an easy thing to plug in and use
mhm,
that
yeah,
there's no danger there for people. And then the laser, if somebody wants to use it, yes, they need to get certified through you. They need to understand the dangers just so they don't hurt somebody, and that they are using it in a proper way to do no harm, because
I
that's
should
we want to help, not harm.
I should share with all the listeners that since I've known Dawna, I drink more water and I eat
Yay.
and I eat less Pop Tarts.
Good. I'm so glad. Yay.
So please listen to her. She knows what she's talking about.
Good, good, good. Yes.
so
Well, I
the,
remember us having a conversation about that the laser actually works better if you're hydrated.
yes, that absolutely it works better. There's absorption in the water,
Mhm.
and which helps carry the photons to the different parts of the tissues. So yes, if you're hydrated, we always recommend if you've had a laser treatment or you use the Helios to drink lots of water,
Mhm.
because beyond the production of ATP, there's the production of nitric oxide. There's waste product that happens in the cells, and you need to flush that waste product out of there. And so you drink lots of water after the treatment for sure.
Yes. Wonderful.
And that
Wonderful.
I think the other thing, we always talk about the spiritual side of light. And you say,
Mhm.
well, how can the light, help my spirit? And I think it helps as soon as the dull of pain goes away, you become motivated to do more.
Oh,
When you
absolutely.
start to feel better about yourself, you wake up. I had a patient call me this morning that has an Helios, and her first words were, I am so happy. I've been happier than I have been in a long time. And so I said, well, that's great. Why? She goes, because I feel better because I've been using your infrahelios every day, everywhere on my body, and I just feel a lot better. And just that spirit gets lifted because of that. And so, for
Mhm.
me to hear that as kind of an inventor here, to hear somebody call up and just say, "I am so happy," and just you can hear the joy in their voice, is an amazing thing. I say that is just fantastic, and it's great to hear. And that's what we mean by lifting the spirit. You
Mhm.
know, you feel better, you have less pain, you become happier, you're more pleasant around people. We talked about last time I was on the show about how the negativeness of pain can cause problems in relationships, while the happiness can cause positive things to happen in relationships. And so it's really great when I hear that feedback. And and so when we say it truly lifts your spirit, there is the light really lifting somebody's spirit, and there's clear, direct evidence of it. Of somebody using Helios, having a light put into their body, feeling better, being happy. What more is there for this this season of Lent? There's just a kind of a little off the topic story here. During Lent, there's this thing about transfiguration, about you climb up the mountain, you see the glory of God, and then you have to come back down the mountain and do the hard work.
Mhm.
And I can honestly say that during the past 40 days, I've climbed up that mountain many, many times and then come back down to do the hard work. But it's always great to kind of climb that mountain to say, years of work and to hear feedback like that. It's then you just say, this was the right thing and is the right thing to continue doing. It's the
Right.
right path that I'm on. It's
Mhm.
kind of what I was destined and given
Mhm.
the skill to do. And it
Yeah.
just motivates me. It gives me
Mhm.
joy to say, hey, I had a bit of a hand in this, and divine guidance, but I had a bit of a hand in using my skills to make this happen. And that's for me a fantastic thing. So, my suggestion is if pick a journey, and it may be very hard. It may take a long time, but certainly it can be a very worthwhile conclusion when you're kind of going down the right path.
Absolutely, yes. And when you know in your heart, when you know in your soul that there's something that you're supposed to do, there's a purpose that you have, there's something you're supposed to create, there's a gift that you have that you're supposed to share. Um, Sticking with it is the most important thing. And well, I don't like KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken. I used to before I knew how bad it was for you. Growing up, we used to have picnics, at the park in Oklahoma City with buckets of Kentucky Fried Chicken. That was kind of a thing. But I do like the story of Colonel Sanders and how he did not give up because he got his first Social Security check and thought, "Are you kidding me? I worked for how many years? And this is the amount of money you expect me to live on? There's no way." And then he tried to figure out, well, what do I have? What is my skill set? And he was like, well, I have this really good chicken recipe. I wonder if I can sell it. And he went out and got 1,009 no's. 1,009 no's. How many people would have given up long before? How many people would have said, I'm never going to sell it after 100 rejections, let alone 1,009 rejections? But look at, he's got an empire today, or his estate does, you know, um, because he didn't give up, because he persevered, because he believed that he had a product that he was destined to get out there. And we all have something, maybe not at that level, but we all have something. And I think that what you've done is a beautiful example of it's something that helps people at the cellular level, all natural, it's not harmful. it helps people's bodies heal. It helps to give the body the right environment so the body heals. It turns on the body's healing capabilities, um, and yeah, it's incredible. I mean, I've experienced it, I've witnessed it, and I'm excited to um, help create more places that people can get this through, you know, Avesa International, here in Boise, and so on. I'm really excited about helping people
Yeah,
in
it's
cities.
very hard to explain to people sometimes. I work closely with a doctor in Castle Rock, Colorado,
Hmm.
and he was saying how difficult it is sometimes to get people to receive, but
Hmm.
to understand that this
Yes,
light can do something. They don't even want to try it.
right.
They just right away shut it down. They don't know why, but they just have a mental block against it. And I think this is why, down in Ecuador, the locals respond so well because they don't have any blockage. That light won't heal them. They believe it, they believe in it, and this positive attitude that I am going to get better can help. That's not saying that the light is a placebo effect, because it's not. There's good cellular level work to show what it does, clinically.
Mhm.
But if you the placebo effect can work the other way if you
Right.
go in with a negative approach and you say
Absolutely.
this isn't going to work, this isn't going to work, then it's probably not going to work. Even if it does, do what it's supposed to do, your mind is very powerful. Your
Hmm.
mind can help yourself heal. It can help yourself to not heal just as easily.
Absolutely. Well, that's why I hate it when, and they've done studies, when doctors, oncologists tell cancer patients, oh, you have 6 months to live, or oh, you have 1 year to live. Because when they give them a date, it's like 85% then end up dying within a week of that date
Mhm.
because the mind is that powerful. Oh, you told me I have 6 months. So in 6 months, I'm going to die. Versus um, people live like twice or three times as long if you don't give them that deadline.
Yeah,
And that's what the study was. Um, and so doctors should not say, oh, you have this much time to live because they don't know. They don't know. And in my opinion, it's really irresponsible to say because all they did was shorten that person's life.
yeah. They've created they've put the message in the brain.
Mhm.
They've seeded the brain with a negative message that says
Exactly.
you're expiring on this date, like
Hmm.
a milk carton. It's going to
Hmm.
expire. And
Right.
they've seeded you with that message. And then, even if you don't think about it consciously, it's there. But you do think about it. You look at the clock, you look at the calendar, you look at, when am I going to go see my family? Like, you start to push things in to prepare yourself because there's this date that's been given you that's
Right.
maybe based on nothing. So
Right.
it's based on a group of populations that treat themselves differently, and every body reacts differently. But that's
Hmm.
one interesting thing about the laser is it works the same in every body. It works the same on an animal
Hmm.
because that underlying mechanism of mitochondria producing ATP is in every living being on the planet, and so it works the same way for all people. And that's what's very interesting about it. Now, the outcome may take longer for some people, depending on their health, the underlying conditions, all of these things. But the mechanism is the same in all creatures, in all living creatures.
Yes, which is fantastic. I know I've used the laser on my dog. She has mild hip dysplasia. She's a golden retriever, and she has mild hip dysplasia. And so, there are times that she'll kind of limp if she overdoes it and stuff like that. And so it's so nice to be able to use that on her because it 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 gives her relief. and I can visually see that because dogs don't pretend. You know?
Right. And this is the thing. Animals don't pretend.
Mm-hmm.
And so they don't have a placebo effect that we are aware of anyway. They don't know. And, my daughters used the Helios on her horse, her previous horse, and just by
Right.
strapping it to the leg and letting the horse stand there. And so, the dogs like it. And I think when you put it on a dog, it almost has a calming effect.
Yeah,
But,
absolutely. Yeah,
they lay down and they like it. Yeah.
hmm yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, it's so amazing, and yeah, the mind is so powerful. I love that, and you know, there the mind is so powerful, and we are spiritual beings having a physical experience. We are also very connected, and so what we put out there comes back. It's we impact not only ourselves but others. And just like you so beautifully demonstrated manifesting this healing creation, um, we we can manifest positive and negative. We can manifest something amazing and something not. And
Mhm.
so, it, and we can continue carrying forward limiting beliefs that don't serve us, or we can continue carrying forward beliefs that do serve us, that do take us towards the life that we want. So I challenge everyone out there to really pay attention to the thoughts that you have, because our thoughts are so powerful, as we've just been talking about, and we've talked about this before. um, and just like Dr. Emoto's study um, about words and water, water with consciousness, all of that. Our thoughts are so powerful, and our words are so powerful. So, what are you saying? What are you saying to yourself? What are you saying to other people? What are you saying to the universe when no one else is around? What are your beliefs? And is that belief, are you playing old tapes in your mind that don't serve the life that you want? If for instance, and I'm going to put you on the spot, Jim.
Oh, oh no.
If Jim had played a tape of, oh, light is just light and it's not going to do anything and it can't heal, and he hadn't pursued that dream that he had of creating something, a medical device that would help people, then we wouldn't have this incredible laser, right?
But
You
good,
would
yes,
have yourself,
right.
right?
Good point. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. If I had that thought and said,
Mhm.
just on the surface, this like many doctors say, oh, this
Right.
light stuff is
Right.
just hokey stuff.
Yeah.
But to accept it and just as an engineer, it's kind of my job to be curious, but it's also my job to prove things out. And so to take the step back and say, no, I believe light can heal, and just think of all the things that light does in the universe and with people. Uh, Very simple, getting a suntan as an example. I mean, so when you think about all the things light can do, it would have been easy to just accept the fact that, yeah, light's not healing, it's not worth pursuing.
Hmm.
Then I wouldn't have had the laser. But to say, yeah, the light can do something, how am I going to prove it?
Right.
How can I demonstrate it in a way that people can understand that it has a biological reaction, and then to go down that path and then to see the results and then say, ah, this is really, there's a here, there's really something viable here. I'm seeing this at a cellular level, the light doing this, and then to
Right.
begin to research and understand why, and then to do the development from there. But yes, I had to accept the fact it would have been much easier in my life if I'd said, not really nothing to pursue. But then what would I have done?
Yes. Weren't you faced with a lot of adversity? Didn't a lot of people that were, because there were just cold lasers out initially, right? And
Mhm.
weren't they all telling you that you were crazy and that it was never going to work?
Yes, I had so many dissenters along the way telling me this is a crazy idea, this won't work, well, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your money, this isn't the right thing to do, this technology's been tried before, it's not been successful. I mean, it was just a constant flow, but I don't know if it's because I was the youngest of, three siblings, but I always had the motivation is, tell me no, I'm going to work extra hard to prove that you're wrong. It's kind of in my brain. And so the more people that told me no, the more I said, I'm going to show you and I'm going to go prove that I can do it. And this is, maybe not the most positive motivating factor, but it was one of the motivators to say, hey, I'm going to go show you that this is a better idea than what you think. And I'm going to go prove that it can be done. And I didn't plan on it taking so long, but I'm going to go prove that it can be done. So,
Yeah. Yes. Which is that perseverance, that belief in yourself, it just reaffirms everything we've been talking about. That it matters what you tell yourself. It matters what your beliefs are. It matters what you allow in your world, as far as the beliefs that other people have as well. And just because other people say something doesn't make it true. It doesn't make it, and it doesn't have to be your reality. And I think that's a big lesson to learn in life, because we grow up being so conditioned that we are to listen to adults, listen to our elders, listen to church leaders, listen to spiritual leaders, listen to, you know, government leaders, like
mhm,
they have all the answers. But really, we need to be teaching our kids, the kids in school and society as a whole, to go within, to meditate, to trust our inner guidance, to trust our inner not knowing, and to trust those dreams that we get, those intuitive hits that we get, and to have that perseverance, like you so beautifully demonstrated, with when you have that inner knowing of that you're supposed to bring something forward like you did, and not listening to the naysayers, not listening to the people telling you you can't, but knowing that yes, you can. And so setting out to prove that yes, you can.
and having retrospectively gone back and looked at how all this manifested and occurred, you could tie a lot of other things together. So right now I'm in California talking to you, not in Ohio, but I'm out here in California. I lived here right in this area for several years during the early 80s. And there was a bumper sticker at the time on a lot of people's cars, and it said, if you can dream it, you can do it. And I saw that every
Mhm.
time. If you can dream it, you can do it.
Yes. Hmm.
And I think I've proven that. If you can dream
Yes.
it, you can do
Yeah.
it. But you have to persevere. You have to not give up. You have to not let others put their negative cloud of energy over you and convince you otherwise.
Hmm.
But you can pursue it. So it's kind of a corny statement now, and people say, "Oh, that's just such an old statement," but a very true one. If you can dream it, you can do it, and that's for
Yes.
your audience out there to remember that. And
Yes. Absolutely.
yeah, so our friend Kelly, she dreamt that she could have these fruits, the dragon fruits,
Hmm.
and so when she got home, there was a big display of it at her grocery store of the same fruit. So
I
I
love
said, you
it.
absolutely had instant manifestation there, Kelly.
That is
You
beautiful.
dreamt it and it occurred.
That's so beautiful. I love it. I love it. Well, I want to. before time gets away from us, I want to make sure and do a shout out for Angel and her show tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock Eastern time. Make sure to catch Angel tomorrow, her very first show. Woohoo! It's going to be fantastic. On Thursdays, 11 a.m. Eastern. Make sure that you catch Angel. And yes, it'll be great. So I'm super excited. And I know she asked me to be a guest sometime. And I'm excited for whenever that's going to be. So, yay!
Yay.
And next week, I will have Lori Ellis on, sharing more of her incredible nutrition and fitness and hydration knowledge and so on. So make sure and catch next week with Lori. But we still have a few minutes here, Jim. So we've got about 5 more minutes. So what else? What else would you like people to know? This has been great talking about all of the manifesting and belief in yourself, and this is a perfect time for that.
It is. I mean, the lesson of the laser isn't just that the light heals. It's about the perseverance, about
Yes.
the dreaming, the manifestation, and to not lose sight of that vision, and to say,
Right.
okay, I have a bigger vision is the throughput of patients. Like how many, and this is one of the interesting things is I always felt early on that the higher power laser, the treatment times would be shorter, and that would enable medical laser, and that would enable more patients to be treated on a daily basis, and I could help more people. So that was one of the driving forces behind it. It's like, what can I do to take what takes 45 days of treatment with a cold laser to do in a few sessions of 10 minutes? And how can I do that? And so that was part of the engineering thought that went into it to say, how can that be accomplished? Which is the kind of the idea of how we got to the specifications of the high power laser. And, people could say, well, can't anybody just throw lights in a box and make it work? And can it be isn't it just the same? And I would say no, because one, the wavelength is critical. This is true. But knowing and understanding how the light goes through the body and traverses through the body to the different tissues and what happens is very complicated and needs to be thought about with the frequency that you're using. And not all light frequencies activate the mitochondria to produce ATP. Some create a warming effect, and people say, well, this gets warm too, and people feel better because they have a warming effect, but they're not really getting the healing effect of the light activation. So the frequency is critical. But that, from a technical standpoint, that how the light is set up and how it's delivered isn't a simple task. And one of the product beliefs I've had with a lot of products I've been involved in the development of is on the surface making it look easy for the patient and the therapist, even though the technology underneath is very difficult, but to make it look easy to the end user. So the InfraHelios seems like a simple device. It's small, it's plastic, it's easy to plug in, it's simple to use, yes, but the science underneath that shell, that nice casual looking shell, is very complicated. And so it's just something to consider that not, if you say, well, I can go on the internet, I can buy any kind of light device, then the same thing will happen. Probably not.
Right. So. Yes, definitely. Definitely. I know from, well, going through the training with you and all that it's unique and it is specific and it goes, uh, you know, what it does is unique compared to other lasers out there. And if you are interested in getting an infrahelios, go to epiclasers.com. It's EPOCH lasers.com. If you want to get trained, if you want to get certified, become a certified laser technician through Epic Lasers to be able to use it. If you are planning to go to Tosa Blue Mountain and you want to volunteer at the clinic, get certified, contact Jim and he can do that for you.
Yes.
And it doesn't take a long time, but it is vital that you have the information because it's about safety, so that you don't harm anyone. And also, it's really good to understand how this technology came about, how it works, what the difference is, how it's different from other lasers, other infrared lasers, what the frequency, the wavelength, why that's so important. All of that matters. And so, if you haven't been on the the website for Epic Lasers, go check it out because there's a lot of great information out there that explains this. And I know I gave my brothers and sisters the infrahelios for Christmas this year, and they all love them. So um, it's it's just it's and it's easy to use, and it's amazing technology, and I'm just I'm grateful for it. So thank you.
It's a being a laser therapist, because obviously along the path of 20 years, the very first person I lasered was myself,
Yeah.
my dog, of a cat, and whatever else I could. So, but it's very rewarding because unlike today's medical care, where you walk in and you may see 5 different people over 10 minutes and get a huge bill, as a laser therapist, you have a one-on-one conversation.
Mhm.
And this actually helps with any kind of therapy, is that close connection and that discussion with the patient. And we've lost sight of that, I think, here in the Western world, Western medicine. There is no discussion. It's you're number 3 that's coming in for the day. I can give you 4 minutes and send you on your way and give you a shot and you're done. Laser therapy is you talk to the patient, you talk about what's bothering them, you become connected with them, and you help heal them, not of course by the light, but by the nature of also having that interaction, which an energetic connection that helps them heal because they feel like somebody's listening to them, and somebody's treating them.
Right.
And so there's always this idea of uh, you respect, connect, and engage. And so the similar in fashion here is you respect the patient coming in, you connect with them, and you help treat them. And this makes for a fulfilling treatment that helps heal it. We're all about wellness and the whole healing everything. And this is why the clinics, the basic clinics, really provide this whole healing as well. So it's all an approach from all angles.
Yes, yes, for sure, for sure. Well, we are out of time. Any parting words, Jim?
No, thank you. I'm, as always, extraordinarily grateful to be on your show. It's
Oh,
always such fun. Um,
it's my honor. I always enjoy having you on. It's always so. I love your company. I enjoy the conversation. It's always just so much great information, and I love sharing that with anyone that listens.
yeah,
And
and
thank
it's
community for coming on. Whenever
yes,
you see this, it's the right time. And make sure to take some time for yourself, do some yoga, do some meditation, manifest, write down what you want your life to look like. The planets are there to support you this week, especially. So take advantage of it and create the life that you want. And tune into Angel Show tomorrow. And then catch me next week with Lori. And until then, I'm wishing you all a happy Easter if you celebrate it. And I'm sending you all so much love and light. Thank you. Namaste.
thank you,
Thank
Donna. Namaste.
you so much.